The Hidden Scar, an Unwanted Seed. 3 months into her rehabilitation at the Do Not Give Up Foundation, Kemi had begun to rebuild the fragments of her shattered identity. The once chaotic rhythm of her life had started to fall into a gentle cadence, waking up to the soft murmur of early morning prayers, sharing smiles over warm meals, and rediscovering a sense of belonging among those who, like her, were piecing together a broken past. Yet, just as the first rays of hope began to illuminate her new world, fate intervened with a cruel twist. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when the change first crept in. The foundation's courtyard, usually filled with the lively chatter of the residents and the distant laughter of children playing, was hushed by a subtle tension. Kemi had been feeling unusually weak for days, a persistent fatigue that she brushed off as a lingering remnant of her past hardships. But that morning, as she tried to join a group conversation under the shade of a sprawling mango tree, her vision blurred and the ground beneath her wavered like a mirage. "Miss Kemi, are you alright?" came a concerned voice. It was Aisha, her friend and a fellow resident who had grown strong in both body and spirit since her own recovery. Aisha rushed to her side, helping her to sit on a nearby bench. I don't know," Kemi stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Something is terribly wrong." Before anyone could react further, Officer Coco arrived at the scene, her presence as commanding as ever. The compassionate yet steely-eyed officer knelt beside Kemi, her concern etched across her face. "Kemi, stay with me. We're getting you help right away," she said firmly, her tone a blend of authority and genuine care. In the sterile confines of a nearby clinic, the atmosphere was heavy with apprehension. The doctor, an empathetic man who had seen too many broken lives mend slowly, examined Kemi with deliberate care. Minutes later, the silence was shattered by a revelation that no one could have foreseen. "Miss Kemi," the doctor began, his voice measured, "the tests have come back. You are 6 months pregnant." The room seemed to tilt on its axis. For Kemi, time slowed. Her heart thundered against her ribcage, and tears welled in her eyes as a torrent of memories and emotions surged forth. The revelation was as shocking as it was bewildering, a hidden scar from the past rearing its painful head in the most unexpected form. In that instant, the foundation's corridors, which had started to echo with whispers of hope, filled with murmurs of disbelief and sorrow. Later that evening, back at the foundation, the truth could no longer remain confined to hushed whispers. Officer Coco, who had become not only a guardian but a steadfast friend to Kemi, sought her out in a quiet corner of the shelter's garden, where the night air was cool and filled with the fragrance of blooming jasmine. "Kemi," Coco began gently, her eyes searching Kemi's for answers, "I need you to be honest with me. I know something is wrong. Please, tell me what happened." Kemi's hands trembled as she clasped them together, her gaze fixed on the moonlit path beneath their feet. I need to confess something," she managed, her voice quivering. "It wasn't just an accident of fate. I became pregnant because of an encounter with Chief Dameno." Heavy silence fell between them. Coco's eyes flared with a mix of shock and fury, her voice steady as she demanded, "Chief Dameno? The man who promised to help you start anew and instead exploited your vulnerability?" Kemi nodded, her eyes brimming with remorse and pain. "Yes. I trusted him, and he betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. I tried to push it away, to bury it with everything else, but now I cannot ignore it any longer." Officer Coco's voice hardened as she replied, "How could someone like him, who wields such power and influence, do this? And why did you let it happen?" Her tone was not merely accusatory, it carried the weight of a promise to fight for justice and to shield those who had been betrayed. Kemi's response was soft, yet it resonated with the anguish of her past. "I didn't feel I had a choice. I was desperate, alone. And his promises were like a fleeting light in the darkness. I believed, even for a moment, that he could be different. At that moment, the night seemed to hold its breath. The garden, with its rustling leaves and distant city hum, became a silent witness to the pain of two souls burdened by a past that refused to stay buried. Poco's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she murmured, "Kemi, you deserve so much better than this. You are not to blame for his cruelty. We will make him answer for what he has done." The conversation was interrupted by the soft footsteps of Aisha, who had been quietly listening nearby. "Kemi," she said gently, "we all make mistakes in the quest for survival. The important thing now is to reclaim your dignity and your future." Her words, though tender, carried an undercurrent of determination. "We will stand by you, and together, we will confront this injustice." The revelations of that fateful day sent ripples through the community. The once stable haven of the foundation was now shrouded in a tension that hinted at a deeper, more sinister battle brewing on the horizon. The whispers of Chief Dameno's betrayal reached far beyond the shelter, stirring anger among the residents and igniting a fire of indignation in Officer Poco's heart. In a later meeting in the foundation's modest common room, Poco addressed a gathering of resolute faces, residents, friends, and those who had found solace within those walls. "We cannot allow those in power to prey on the vulnerable," she declared. Chief Dameno's actions are not just a personal betrayal, they are an affront to every soul in this community. We must stand together and demand accountability. A murmur of agreement filled the room. Yet, amid the chorus of support, doubts lingered. "But what if we are fighting a losing battle?" asked one of the residents, his voice low and laden with resignation. Poco's reply was resolute. "Every battle for justice begins with a single voice, and when we join together, that voice becomes a roar. We will not be silenced by fear or corruption." As the night deepened, the residents dispersed, leaving Kemi and Poco alone in the quiet aftermath. The moon cast long shadows over the garden, echoing the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Kemi, still grappling with the enormity of her revelation, turned to Poco. "Do you really think we can bring down someone like Chief Dameno?" she asked, her voice trembling with both hope and trepidation. Poco's gaze was unwavering as she replied, "We must try, Kemi. For you, for every person who has been exploited and cast aside. Your fight is not just for justice, it's for the dignity and future of every soul in our community." The weight of that promise hung in the air as they stood together, bound by a shared determination to challenge a system that had long turned a blind eye to corruption and exploitation. The revelation of Kemi's pregnancy, once a hidden scar and unwanted seed, had become a catalyst, a spark that ignited a moral battle against those who used their power to abuse the powerless. In the days that followed, the foundation buzzed with an energy that was both anxious and hopeful. The story of Chief Dameno's betrayal spread like wildfire, stirring a collective resolve to demand change. Officer Coco began to marshal her resources, gathering evidence and rallying support from those within the police force who were equally disillusioned by the rampant corruption. She vowed to bring Chief Dameno to justice, not only for Kemi's sake but for the countless others who had suffered in silence. Yet, even as preparations for a confrontation with the corrupt politician gathered momentum, questions lingered in every whispered conversation and every determined glance. What would become of Kemi's fragile hope in the wake of such betrayal? Could the community's newfound unity withstand the weight of a powerful adversary? And most importantly, would justice prevail in a system steeped in injustice? As the foundation's residents prepared for the uncertain battles ahead, the night sky seemed to hold its breath, offering no answers, only a promise of more challenges to come. Now, dear viewers, the questions remain. Will Officer Poco's determination and the community's united front be enough to challenge the entrenched corruption of Chief Dameno? How will Kemi navigate the tumultuous path that now lies ahead, burdened by the unwanted seed of betrayal? Can a shattered trust be rebuilt in a society that has long forgotten how to protect its most vulnerable? Watch out for the answers to these questions in the next episode. Thank you for watching.